Greetings, humans. It's me, Bob Harris, Senior Editor of FootballDiehards.com. Time for the Week 14 Injury Review Preview Update Overview thing. We like to do this every Saturday to kind of set the table, help you understand what kind of lineup decisions you have, what kind of game time decisions there are, who's already out, and kind of do them in chronological order so you understand what kind of fallback options you need. It's fantasy crunch time. Playoffs are upon us, so we'll get down to business here. We'll start out with the early afternoon kickoffs. And that starts with Colts, T.Y. Hilton and Adam Vinatieri ruled out. Chase McLaughlin was added to cover for Vinatieri's absence. He's got a left knee problem. They aren't ready to shut him down yet, but they may well. And the same with Hilton going forward. That's something to watch. In the meantime, Marlon Mack, on a more positive note, returns. He's off the injury report. Frank Reich says that he won't be on the snap count, but also that all four of their running backs will be active, is what Frank Reich said. So Mack's still clearly the lead back now that he's healthy. They said they tested him for ball security, and he did a good job in practice. He's coming off the fractured hand. So he is back in the mix for the New York Jets hosting the Miami Dolphins. Le'Veon Bell has an illness. Ryan Griffin also ill. Demaryius Thomas dealing with the same hamstring issue. He has been. They're all listed as questionable. Griffin's expected to play. Thomas has been playing through his issue all along. We may get word today. As always, watch the main page of the site, the late-breaking update section. Any news that changes will be found in there after the 12 p.m. hour. Any changes will appear in the late-breaking news section. But as for Bell, Adam Gase said they sent him home Thursday and Friday, so he didn't practice. Adam Gase said today would be determinative. We may not know the real answer until tomorrow. Again, as always, overnight I put up a lot of kind of late-breaking or early predictions for whether players will play or not, or early reports, so you'll want to check for that as well. If Bell can't go in this game, then Bilal Powell and Ty Montgomery would step up, with Powell expected to get the majority of the work if that's the case. It's something to watch, and we'll be watching right up through kickoff if need be. For the New Orleans Saints are hosting the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers, everyone's good. Saints, everyone that we're interested in is good. George Kittle's off the injury report. Emmanuel Sanders, Deebo Samuel, Matt Breida returns. On a less positive note, if you will, Marquise Goodwin and Dante Pettis both listed as questionable. You know, they really don't have significant enough roles in the offense for fantasy purposes, other than DFS dark tots, and I'd avoid them since they're not actually healthy. The Detroit Lions at Minnesota. Matt Stafford, of course, ruled out. David Blau will continue to start. That's the only name of note on their injury report. For the Vikings, Adam Thielen listed as doubtful. Expect him to not play. Sounds like he suffered a setback. We kind of got that feeling last week when he was ruled out. First questionable, then ruled out on Saturday for the Monday night game, and then, and then this week he's listed as doubtful. Didn't practice all week. Dalvin Cook did practice all week. Limited early, but fully the last 2 days. And he says he's close to 100%. Mike Zimmer says he's close to 100%. So it's a great matchup. He had, 25 carries, 142 yards against Detroit in Week 7. Obviously, he's a great play, but also, obviously, the Detroit watched that last game. They're going to be trying to take the same shots to his chest that Seattle did that put him out of that game. Look, I'm still playing him. We still rank him inside our top 5. That's how I'm approaching this. And I don't think it means you want to start sneaking Alex Madison into your rosters if you don't have Cook or ahead of Cook or anything like that. So that's where we're at. We just won't know until through the game. I mean, I'm assuming since he's off the injury report, he's as good to go as he's going to get. Will Fuller is questionable for the Houston Texans facing the Denver Broncos in Houston. It sounds like he's going to play, but that's one you'll have to watch right up through kickoff. If he doesn't go, obviously Kenny Stills, DeAndre Carter move up in the rotation. Maybe Kiki QT would be active in that case. For the Baltimore Ravens at Buffalo, tough matchup for both teams. Marquise Brown and Seth Roberts are listed as questionable, ankle and knee injuries respectively. Brown's been mostly playing through his ankle issues since like week 5. He's missed 2 games. No indication that he's in any worse shape this week, so that'll be one you want to watch up through kickoff. He's the playable commodity of the two from a fantasy perspective, obviously. For the Cleveland Browns hosting the Cincinnati Bengals, David Njoku was activated off IR Saturday, just before I filmed this, so he's back in the mix. How big of a role he'll play is unclear, but Demetrius Harris, fellow tight end, is listed as questionable with a shoulder injury. So that's one to watch. I don't know that I'm trying to force Njoku back into lineups right off the get-go, but it is a pretty good matchup if you're in a pinch. Greg Olsen for Carolina at Atlanta has been ruled out with the concussion. Obviously, coaching change in Carolina, so the interim head coach Perry Fuel suggested it'll be a committee with Ian Thomas obviously leading the way to me. But Chris Manhurst will be in the mix too. And so, that's one to watch there. It's not a bad matchup, right? So you want to get some pieces in, but I don't know that I'm trying to force, Ian Thomas level unless I really have to. On the other side of the ball, everyone's off the injury report. It started out with Julio Jones, Austin Hooper, both returned. Hooper, 3-game absence for the MCL sprain. Jones missed last week's games. I was told yesterday that he would have played last week had it been a Sunday game, but it was a Thursday game. So everyone feels like he's back on track and good to go. Calvin Ridley and Justin Gage were Russell Gage. I was conflating Justin Hardy and Russell Gage. Russell Gage were limited early in the week, but they're off the injury report late in the week and good to go as well. Same with Jaden Graham, the tight end who will now work behind Hooper. For the Washington Redskins at Green Bay, Trey Quinn and Paul Richardson both out. Steven Sims Jr. will move into the slot role. Kelvin Harmon's kind of been coming on with Richardson out the last week or two, so look, they're not a heavy passing team. They're a heavy running team. So the expectation is don't get too excited over Sims or Harmon. Terry McLaurin's a player of choice there, or has been in recent weeks. But Harmon is coming on. Check out his stats and look at his targets. They've been pretty solid. Everyone else is good to go in that game. Devontae Adams got in full practices this week, so he's good to go. Late afternoon kickoff. The Chiefs are at New England. Both Williamses are out. Damian Williams, Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams on IR. His season is over with a hamstring injury. Damian Williams with a rib injury is out this week. That means LaShawn McCoy is first man up, but Darwin Thompson is going to come on. I have a pretty in-depth look at that on the late breaking update section early Saturday morning. I posted it. Just a running backs coach commenting they tested Thompson last week, putting him in blitz situations to make sure he could handle it and everything. So I would say he's going to get more of a role. I think McCoy is still the lead guy, but we've seen it week in and week out, right? Andy Reid has talked about managing him and not overusing McCoy, so that's worth watching. They also added Spencer Ware to the mix, so he'll likely be available to contribute as well. For the Patriots, Julian Edelman and Mohamed Sanu both listed as questionable. I would expect both to play. They played last week through the same issues. Tom Brady added a toe injury to his right elbow. Came off the injury report on Friday. He's good to go. Pittsburgh is at Arizona. James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster ruled out again. No timetable for either man's return, but Benny Snell Jr. will continue to do the between the tackles work. Jalen Samuels chip in as a receiver. It's a pretty good matchup against Arizona. For the wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. James Washington showing a little bit of chemistry with Delvin Hodges, who will continue as the starter there. So that's interesting. And in case you missed it, Gardner Minshew will continue as a starter for the Jaguars. This one's worth watching here. And Arizona, everybody's good. Josh Jacobs has been playing with a fractured shoulder. He revealed that on Twitter this week. Since week 7, we knew he'd been hurting. Every week he practices on a limited basis, comes off the injury report on Friday, plays as usual on Sunday, and plays quite well. This week he did not practice Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. John Gruden said he did very little on Friday. Jacobs is now questionable. DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard are standing by as needed. This is one we'll want to watch right up through kickoff. I would want to have a fallback plan in place. Not because I think he's not going to play, just because it's different, right? It's different than what we've seen every week. So watch that one. Adam Humphries on the other side of the ball has been ruled out for the Titans. Tajay Sharp is questionable. Sunday night, Gerald Everett will miss a second straight game with a hyperextended knee. Tyler Higbee remains the primary tight end in that case. Luke Wilson on the other side of the ball is doubtful. Jacob Hollister will remain the tight end of fantasy interest regardless of his status. Monday night game, Daniel Jones officially ruled out today, as was Evan Ingram. Kind of looked like he was trending towards playing. They ruled him out Saturday. Red Ellison ruled out. That means Caden Smith and Scott Simonson will remain the tight ends. Worth noting, Golden Tate comes back. He's off the injury report, cleared through the concussion protocol. Eli Manning will be the quarterback with Daniel Jones ruled out. That officially happened Saturday as well. Still awaiting the final injury report for the Philadelphia Eagles, but assume Nelson Aguilar is a game time decision. Has not practiced much this week. He's got a knee issue. Sounds like they might be managing it. But I would say he'll be questionable at best. The same with Jordan Howard. Continues to work on a limited basis. We've yet to hear that he's been cleared for contact with the shoulder stinger, so I would expect Miles Sanders to continue handling the bulk of the workload. There you have it, Week 14, the injury report that you need to have. Again, watch the late-breaking update section of the site. I'll be updating all this information through each kickoff. I'll have the inactives as they're announced. And again, overnight, if you're a regular visitor to the site, you know I put up a number of items from the national insiders, etc., who get tidbits here and there from their sources. So I'll have all that available. In the meantime, you'll also find all our content, video, audio. We've got the Bob and Emo Friday Night Live. We've got the Bobby Gums and Kyle Dvorak doing their Wednesday roster build show. They will be live Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, doing a final roster build, taking your questions, live video. So come back to the site for that. The Football Diehards podcast with Kyle and myself and Justin Linero's up. Articles from John Loud, the Scholars DraftKings Sheet of Knowledge. Justin Linero, The Digging of the Crates. My own DFS 3 and Out. Gary Davenport's The Shadow Knows. We've got Brad Cruz's sit-start items. Brad Cruz, one of the best high-stakes players in the land, does a season-long. Bobby Gomes, by the way, former millionaire maker for DraftKings, millionaire maker winner at DraftKings, is doing the video work and doing a great job on that as well. Also work from Michael Valverde, Kyle Dvorak's articles, tons of stuff. I can't even remember it all. Also, listen to me on Football Diehards on SiriusXM, NFL Radio Saturday night from 8 to 11 with Mike Dempsey. John Lobb, the scholar himself, will be joining us. And on Sunday morning, I'll be doing the live pregame show for Sirius with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1. We'll do all the inactive work and kind of hit some of these matchups, etc. So plenty of content out there. Keep dialed into the main page of the site, and we'll wish you good luck and see you next week.